Little Rock, the capital of Arkansas. A city of culture and of rich history. In 1722, French explorer Bernard de la Harpe was the first to record the existence of a rocky bluff on the north side of the Arkansas River. He called the bluff La Roche Française, or the French Rock. It was later referred to as the Big Rock, but a 1799 French map referenced a small rock that jutted out of the southern border of the river and called it Le Petit Rocher, or the Little Rock, and the name stuck. However, this is not the Little Rock of which the map spoke. This is the Little Rock. While you're taking in the famous Little Rock, enjoy a stroll along the Julius Breckling Riverfront Park. Enjoy a dancing sheep. Or sit down and relax on a hippo bench. Also, you'll find all kinds of wonderful sculptures. Along the Little Rock riverfront, you'll also find the Junction Bridge. The Junction Bridge was built in 1884 and originally served as a railroad bridge. It was built as part of a railroad that would stretch from the Gulf Coast to the Indian Territory, or present-day Oklahoma. In 1917, the bridge was refloored so that automobile traffic could also cross from the capital city of Little Rock to the city of Argenta, which is present-day North Little Rock. By the 1990s, the bridge was no longer used for vehicle traffic, and it was converted to a pedestrian and bicycle bridge.
To give you an idea of how big these cables are, my hand won't even wrap around one of them, and there's 8 of them in each grouping.
And while you're along the river, make sure you take a ride on Little Rock's old-fashioned electric streetcars. They still run on rails, and they'll take you up and down the Riverwalk area and across the Arkansas River to North Little Rock. Close to the Riverwalk on East Markham is the H.U. Lee International Gate and Garden. After you go through the traditional Korean-style gate, you'll be greeted by 2 Taekwondo students bowing to show their respect. The garden is named for Grandmaster H.U. Lee, who founded the international headquarters for the Songgong form of Taekwondo in Little Rock because of his great love for the state of Arkansas and the city of Little Rock. Our next stop is Arkansas's beautiful Old State House, or Old Capitol Building. Built between 1833 and 1842, it's the oldest surviving state capitol building west of the Mississippi. Inside this stately building, the Arkansas legislature voted to secede from the Union. However, that vote wasn't as easy as you might have thought. In the initial round of voting, seceding from the Union was voted down. Well, I was going to go inside and video the inside of the old state building so you could see it because it is absolutely gorgeous. But it turns out if you're a YouTuber or a professional videographer, you have to make an appointment in order to do so. So I wasn't able to get in. So you're gonna have to settle for the pictures of the outside, but when you come to Little Rock, make sure you stop by because it is absolutely gorgeous and it's free to the public. After the Civil War, it was in this building that the Arkansas legislature voted to confirm the 14th Amendment, granting citizenship to former slaves, permitting black males over 21 to vote, and to establish public schools for both black and white children. This building served as the state capitol until 1912 when the new capitol was built. So the old State House was replaced by the new State House. The Arkansas State Capitol was constructed between 1899 and 1915. However, it started to be used as the Capitol building in 1912. It was originally budgeted for $1 million. However, in typical government fashion, it ended up costing $2.3 million. Or, when adjusted for inflation, today that same building would cost $71.5 million and some change. It was constructed in the neoclassical style, and according to the Arkansas Secretary of State's website, the marble on the floor and walls came from Vermont, Colorado provided the stone for the columns, and the beautiful staircases came from Alabama. The exterior of the building is limestone, and it was quarried near Batesville, Arkansas. The total square footage of the Capitol building is 247,000 square feet. The height to the very top of the dome is 213 feet. This is the dome from the inside. During our visit to the Capitol, Any Way You Travel Arkansas was given access by the governor's office to video the governor's private conference room. This is where she hosts other state leaders, dignitaries, trade emissaries, and heads of state. Thanks to our new friend Lorraine from the Lieutenant Governor's office, we were able to visit the Senate chamber. The House chamber, and the chambers of the Arkansas State Supreme Court. We also got to check out the Lieutenant Governor's office, which was pretty cool. The door in the background that says Attorney at Law is the door for her father's old law office. But what was really fun was when we went to the State Treasurer's office. Terry, who works in the Treasurer's office, took us back to the vault.
Aren't you ready for this?
There's a load of money in the treasurer's office. Okay, we're in the vault of the treasurer's office in Arkansas, and Terry here is going to let me hold
21 pounds worth of $600,000.
$600,000 in cash, only in Arkansas.
As you leave the Treasurer's office, they have an Arkansas Military Veterans Hall of Fame. Listed are the names of every Congressional Medal of Honor winner from the state of Arkansas, including General Douglas MacArthur. Originally named Little Rock High School in 1905, the school would later become known as Little Rock Central High School, and it was at the epicenter of the Civil Rights Movement's effort to desegregate schools. In 1954's Brown v. Board of Education, the Supreme Court not only ruled segregation was illegal, but also overturned the 1896's Plessy v. Ferguson ruling, which established the doctrine of separate but equal. For 3 years, Arkansas, under Democrat Governor Orville Favis, resisted the order, and on September 23, 1957, 9 black students who would become known as the Little Rock Nine were turned away from entering the school by an angry mob. The next day, Republican President Dwight D. Eisenhower ordered a unit of the 101st Airborne Division to escort the children into school. The words under the statues on the front of the school say it all. Ambition, personality, opportunity, and preparation are qualities all parents want their children to learn. Our next stop is SoMa, or South Main Street. In the earliest days of Little Rock, South Main was nothing more than a dirt road, but by the early 20th century, this area was booming, as you can tell from the area churches and homes. Even the governor's mansion was built just 2 blocks off South Main Street. However, as people began to move to the suburbs in the late 50s and early 60s, the area went into economic decline. Soon after, Interstate 630 was built, and that served to split Main Street into downtown on the north and South Main on the south, and South Main became kind of a no man's land. But in 2006, with the addition of the Bernice Garden, things began to turn around for SoMa, and today it's a thriving neighborhood that's a popular place for family outings and date night. And don't forget, every year they have an awesome Mardi Gras parade. Next, we're heading out of Little Rock on Canis Road to check out the Fletcher Creek Covered Bridge. The covered bridge part of Fletcher Creek Bridge was built about 30 to 35 years ago. However, there has been a bridge here for well over 100 years. The property on which the bridge stands has been in the same family for 6 generations. When they built the covered bridge part, they tried to be as authentic as possible, so they put a wooden walkway on the side of the bridge. The bridge is on private land, and I was lucky enough to get to talk to one of the relatives of the landowner. The bridge has quite an interesting history. Prior to the current bridge being built here, there was what they call a wet bridge, which is where they took concrete or rock and they put it into the bed of the river so that it was solid and they could drive a buckboard or take a horse over the creek. As you can see, there are 2 well-worn trails leading down to the low spot on the riverbank. They believe this is the approximate location of the wet bridge. They would cross and come ashore on the other side. The landowner's relative told me about a sad chapter in the life of this river crossing. A little over 100 years ago, a family member was hauling all the children to school in a buckboard wagon. As they were crossing the river, which was a slow, bumpy trip, a flash flood occurred. The buckboard was washed away, and the man was only able to save one of the children. History can be difficult sometimes, and sometimes we don't realize how good we have it.